Kicking out, Norfolluma's way, here comes Dayden! Scramble! Tigers! Alex Twal! Alex Twal has ended up with a ball! Oh no! Unbelievable! One small step for man! One giant leap for Alex Twal!
Welcome to the Ultimate Supercoach and Fantasy Sports Show. You are now listening to the Insight Fantasy Sports Podcast.
Yes, g'day guys, and welcome back to Insight Fantasy Sports. It is the countdown show. We haven't done one of these for a couple of weeks, but we're bringing it back. Very impromptu episode, but we thought with all the carnage going on this week, it's worth having a chat before game one. I'm your host, the Supercoach Brain, joined by the Supercoach Mattrix, a very persuasive Supercoach Mattrix. How you going, mate?
Oh, great. I was on my way home. I was like, mate, I haven't talked enough about Rhys Walsh this week. Let's go.
Oh, we've talked. I feel like I've texted enough about Rhys Walsh, just haven't actually physically spoken about him.
Yeah, because it went for 4 hours last night, and we only did like 3.5 hours of podcasts on Tuesday. Then we actually didn't get to the results. So here we are.
We went live from what? When was it? 7:30 or something like that?
Yeah.
And then we also then recorded, and I think we finished recording at like maybe 10 to 10, and we still didn't have a verdict. That's got to be the longest judiciary hearing in history.
Yeah. Yep. But anyway, Rhys Walsh is out. Rhys Walsh is out for 3 weeks. I was going to ask what you're doing, but you just pulled him out.
Yeah. The logic behind, I think, selling Rhys Walsh is that he's going to miss the next 3. He would have missed 19 anyway. So, I mean, that's not a big loss, but he misses 18, he misses 20, he misses 25. And then, like we said the other night, if the Broncos are sitting pretty in second and no one can knock them out of having a home prelim, do they rest him? Like, there's a very good chance that Kevy rests those guys with high workload that have had a bit of extra footy through the middle of the year. So, I don't know. He might miss 5 of the next 10, realistically. So that's the logic for me behind selling. What are you doing?
So you actually talked me into it. You sent me his games that he's actually playing, and there was hardly a good matchup in there. And I think Walsh is a little bit of a flat track bully. I think when the game opens up and there's just so much, I suppose, attack going on, yeah, Walsh is involved. But obviously, being a fullback, being at the back, being a little fella, when there's when the attack's the other way, there's not much going on for him.
Yeah, that's right.
Like, we saw him in a really close game on the weekend, and a game where the attack wasn't flowing, and he scored 26. So it was a roller coaster for me because big Rhys Walsh fan, being a Queenslander, being a Bronco, it was, I'm keeping him. And then it's like, 3 weeks. And then you look at the 3 weeks. Yeah, he was missing a week anyway. And then you look at the bye. And then you look at if he gets rested. And then you even look at them when the Broncos' backs are against the wall. Like, Walsh has pulled out and shown that he's that guy. But he does sort of overplay his hand at times, which can he gets a lot of negative points as well as a lot of opportunity for positive points. I've just sort of stopped. I've thought he's not there for weeks. I was going to trade out like your Schusters, your Billy Smiths, your AJ Johnson, which is playing round 19. And I've just went, fuck it, it's time to go Walsh. You won't enter my team again this year.
Yeah, so, I mean, let's, I guess, talk trades while we're waiting on questions. If anybody has any questions, drop them in the chat. Any final little burning trade questions and you're not quite sure what your final moves need to be, drop them in there. We'll do our best to help you out. My moves this week, like I said, Walsh is out. Now, I've been tossing and turning on how I'm going to play this for a while. I was actually looking at upgrading Billy Smith this week, but with Walsh out, it's kind of screwed me a little bit. So instead of dropping instead of dropping Billy Smith has a 39 break even this weekend. It's not the end of the world.
He scores 40.
He's not going to drop bulk cash. He might lose 10K. Big whoop. So,
I was going to say he scores 40 on his dick, but he scores 40 on his nose. Like,
yeah, I'm not going to comment on that. My moves are Walsh out to Ronnie Mulatalo this week. There's an irony behind my picks here, and I'll explain them soon. Mulatalo in for Walsh, and then Garrett goes to fullback. So that's my first move. Second one is Schuster straight up to Britton Nicara, which I'm pretty happy with. Initially, I was thinking I might downgrade Schuster. I might just go Schuster to Piakura or something like that to free up a bit more cash. But the Walsh out to Mulatalo was like a straight swap, and I still had 400k in the bank, so I could pretty much just go up to Nicara and still have two. I think I've still got 225k left in the bank after that those two trades. So it still gives me the flexibility to get Fafeter back if I want. So I'm thinking that's the way I'm going.
So I like that because St. George are not that good at football and the Sharks happen to be playing them. And there is a round 19 game looming, which makes sense. Let's get some Sharkies in this week. But yeah, looking at some of the try maps this week, where do people score points against the Dragons? And it's not really where Nicara plays and not really where Mulatalo plays.
The irony I was talking about is that left wingers against the Dragons actually score the third least amount of points in the competition this year. They average 40 Supercoach points per game, left wingers, which is ironic considering I'm bringing Mulatalo in instead of bringing someone like Sione Katoa. So right wingers against the Dragons, on the other hand, average 77 points per game, which is 9 points clear of second. So they're by far the best scoring position against the Dragons and any team in the comp or any right wing in the comp. So I can tell you who I'm putting a double anytime try scorer on this week, and it's not Ronnie Mulatalo. It'll be Sione Katoa.
Yeah, I suppose you're playing the long game, like with how many trades we have left with where we're sitting. You're looking at somebody that you can finish the year with.
Yeah.
But if you're making a 1 week play, it's actually for Katoa, isn't it?
It is. This week, if you want the points, you go on Katoa. The problem is then you've got to look, you're not making trades to do 1 week plays anymore. You're looking at trades for the rest of the year. And Mulatalo is the pick every day. But funnily enough, yeah, Katoa is the guy this week. But hey, hopefully it goes against, I guess it goes against trend. And another trend I'm a little concerned about is Britton Nicara, who right edge second rowers, and we know that Nicara plays on the right side outside Nico Hines. Right edge second rowers against the Dragons average 51 points per game, which is the second least amount of points for right edge second rowers in the comp. So I'm bringing in two really bad matchup players this week, and I still don't give a shit.
It doesn't matter when it's a bad matchup play when you're playing the Dragons.
Good to see Damo.
Yeah, in my opinion, like I was very close to straight seeing Nico Hines. So essentially what I've done is I've moved Walsh out. I've used my 42 joules around to get Britton Nicara in for that exact reason. If I'm chatting to Phil earlier on in the week, let me know that I was really weak at second row forward, but really strong at centre wing. So I've moved some of those centre wingers. So I've actually got C&K and Asako at fullback. Which, like, everything in my head tells me that I hate that. But at the same time, I just really love it because of how good those guys have been and how ordinary straight fullbacks have been, apart from Jareem Buller this year. So, look, it is what it is. I've got Nicara in, probably not on the right week, but I need the number too. I want to get AJ out with that 133 break even, but just the fact that he's playing 19 means I can cop his $50,000 price drop if he drops in cash. And I'm actually okay with it. VCing Nico Hines, I actually want to get Schuster out if I have to loop Nico because I'm scared.
That's the reason why I got rid of Schuster this week. So I'm VCing Nico as well.
Yeah.
I was initially thinking straight C, and look, to be honest, the logic is still straight C. But for me, I feel like there's actually an antipod opportunity if he flops this week. I think Nico is 65% straight captained tonight in the top 5% of teams. So imagine if he flops, right, and we've got the VC on, we get a second crack at a good captain, and our captain, whoever it be, probably Val Holmes for you, Ponga for me maybe, ends up going ballistic on Saturday, Sunday, whenever they play against two pretty ordinary teams as well. It could be huge. It could be huge green arrows if you antipod the straight C for Nico. So whilst I still think Nico's going to go massive, he scored 300s in his last 3 games against the Dragons. Like, I'd say anything less than 100 would be a win for me as a vice captainer, because then I could have another crack.
Yeah. And also, genuinely, what makes me so frustrated about Schuster is watching him and him being good but being bad at Supercoach, if you know what I mean. Like sometimes he does play really good, and sometimes you'd be like, this guy should be scoring tons, and then he just doesn't. And that's what frustrates me. But maybe holding Schuster sitting there, I might cop Billy Smith's 40 if he goes and gets a 60 or an 80, and I'm doing okay.
Yeah, my AEs are Harrison Edwards, who I think can still who could still start on Sunday, so he could still bash out 50.
Me too.
Billy Smith as well, who could.
I still think Billy Smith's going to outscore him. Yeah.
Billy Smith could get 35-40 maybe.
No, Billy
worst,
Smith's
right?
going to score under Harrison Edwards. Yeah.
Yeah, and then I've also got Jared Croker, but here's the spicy take for me this week. I'm sitting Alex Johnston. I'm not playing him. I'm not trading him, but I'm not playing him. It's supposed to be quite wet in New Zealand for their game tomorrow. So, and also night games that are wet, it's going to be quite tight. They're going to keep the game quite tight. They're not going to shift the ball anywhere near as much. So I'd say AJ probably sees less ball if it's wet. I am playing Jared Croker over Alex Johnston this week. And the reason for that is because left centers, I'm going to find the stat, left centers against the Gold Coast Titans, where are they? Average 59 points per game this year, which is second most points in the comp for left centers against the Gold Coast Titans.
Unless you're the Broncos, most players, left, right, out, whatever, score well against the Titans.
Yep. So Croker's in for me. Alex Johnson will sit. So there's a little bit of start-sit chat. If you've got any questions around who to start or sit or who your final reserves are, we'll answer them too. We've got a few questions coming in, so we can tackle them. Or do you have anything else?
Yeah, I was just going to say, like, I brought in AJ Brimson last week, and I know that I've been copping a bit of slack for AJ Brimson, but it's not my fault that Rhys Walsh got I suppose, the little slap on the wrist, even though all these boys were coming out, and I suppose throwing him under the bus. But I've got some stats on AJ Brimson. Yeah, one of his boys, Fafeter. Got some stats on AJ Brimson. So he has a 12 and a 20 this year due to injury because he's hurt his hammy during those games. He's 524K, 6% owned, and he has scored 61, 76, 56, 49, 66, and 94 in the games that he's played full games. Like, that's tremendous value at 500K to get in a guy that can do that. Yes, he hasn't got a ton, but like getting 94 is close enough. Doesn't have any buys left. If he doesn't get selected for Origin, yes, he could be a play this week or next week. But I'm just thinking round 20, if you find yourself with your back against the wall and you only have 500K to spend, that could be your guy.
Yeah, I mean, I've agreed with you this whole time. I like Brimson, and it's etched in my mind from what he did at the back end of last year, where he averaged 100 in the final 4 games of the season, where he just tore people apart. He's such a quality player, and he's so good that obviously he's now playing for his state. So that just shows you the quality of player that he is. So yeah, I'm all aboard the AJ Brimson train, except
you don't think Hammer goes to fullback? Surely he goes.
No, well, I mean, he's been training at left center this week for the Dolphins.
I know. So, everything indicates that AJ Brimson. I'm just trying to find some silver lining in my life.
No, well, let me give you the silver lining. Why is Val Holmes not going back to fullback for game 3?
He doesn't go back to fullback for his own team ever.
Yeah, it's
like
bizarre,
he doesn't go back to fullback for the Cowboys. He should, if I was the coach. Yeah, but I'm not. Something indicates maybe Val says I don't want to play fullback anymore. I don't know.
Could do. All right, question time. Fourth World, good of you to join us again, mate. So Munro for Souths is going to get his debut this week against the who are the Rabbitohs playing again? The Warriors.
The Wild.
So my understanding is that Isaiah Tass has a baby due and is out. Didn't travel with the team, so. That doesn't mean Kennar loses his spot. It means I think Milne's coming into centre, and I'm pretty sure that it'll be Kennar swapping to the other centre, and then Munro will play on the right wing. That's my understanding. But I wouldn't be going near Munro, I don't think, this week. I would pick him up next week as the perfect nuff for round 19, but I wouldn't get him this week.
If he's still around.
Yeah, well, I mean, Tass could miss 2 weeks. We don't know. We don't know what's going to happen there. Maybe his partner needs a bit of extra help at home or something. Look, if he's available and he gets named in round 19, he'll disappear very soon after. So that's the perfect enough opportunity at basement price.
So early on in the week, I was actually going to go Alex Johnson to, I suppose, Richie Kennar. But I don't know how Richie Kennar goes at centre, so I'm a bit scared off, to be honest. And I only want a round 19 number. So I'm just holding my guns. I'm holding my trades. And that would be a perfect enough opportunity. I would love that.
For sure. Luke Roden has said that he's seen so many videos of us this week. He's seen us more than his missus, which, hey.
And I see you more than mine.
It's our third live stream. We do have very good partners. We are very lucky. Mine's bathing the little one at the moment while I'm on here. So couldn't do it without it for sure. Troy, he's gone Walsh to Kennedy, and now he has 4 Sharks in his team. So he's hoping they go big tonight. Me too. I've got 3. Is that the Shark sign? I don't know. It looked a little bit more like Hamiso's thing that he does after he scores a try.
Yeah,
for anybody watching on YouTube.
I tell you what, Sharks have fins too.
Yeah, that's true. It's supposedly not even a dolphin thing. It's like a religious thing or something. It's part of his culture. Yeah. So wow. Fun fact of the day. Professor Cactus, is Zach Lomax still on the left or back on the right? He is back on the right side. So he will be up against Talakai this week. Actually, that's a pretty good matchup. I mean, when I say good, it'll be quite competitive matchup on that side because Lomax is a decent defender. So let's see if he can handle Talakai. Very interesting. But we know he prefers to be on the right. He was an absolute bloody corpse on the left. So I'm glad they made that change as soon as Carr came in. Damo reckons Dragons are going to beat the Sharks 72-2. And whatever he's having, I want some because
it's a no from me, dog.
Not going to happen. Not going to happen. We won't put that comment up. But yeah, I agree. If Nico doesn't do well this weekend, people would be very upset. Campbell Graham moved to the left centre. Yeah, he could have. Maybe he does. Does he? But I mean, do they he always plays right centre? Do they really move him over to the left?
Why would they move? Yeah, I don't understand why you would put Richie Kennar there. Like, don't you just give Campbell Graham the world to let him do his thing and just let everybody else just fit around him? Yeah.
The good thing is Alex Johnson plays relatively early this week. It's Friday night, isn't it? Tomorrow night, I'm pretty sure. So we can make that decision if he gets moved. And an hour beforehand, we're going to know where Campbell Graham, what side he's on. So you can make that decision then. But if Campbell Graham's on the left, I don't know whether he will, but if he is, I'll probably play Alex Johnson that game for sure. All right, Fourth World, playing Tavare or Schuster. Tavare for me. What about you?
Schuster for me.
Reckon? I know Tavare is playing the Broncos.
And Schuster, I just like his upside. That's probably the only reason so on Tuesday, I wasn't quite at the acceptance phase when it comes to grief from his 22. So I was like, I'm rage trading Schuster. And then I see the upside in Schuster and I see that he's only $400K and I see that I only paid $270K for him. And I just think Schuster, any chance is probably a chance of scoring 100. Tavare has had below mediocre scores outside of Magic Round. So,
yeah, Tavare better base and Schuster probably more upside. Yeah. But again, we're forgetting what he did in his first game. Tavare got 98 or 97 or something like that in his first game. So,
but our centers, the Broncos centers are quite good defenders. I think they can handle, a rookie. Yeah,
Herbie Farnworth, though. Not the best defender. I reckon Tavare could absolutely murder him.
They're bringing him in.
If there's a weakness in your back line, it's Herbie Farnworth.
And the Dolphins are buying in Herbie to replace Tavare. So,
could be a battle of the replacements. So that could be interesting. Don't mind that, actually, as a narrative. Professor Cactus saying, what if they move AJ to fullback? I don't think they're moving AJ to fullback. Blake Taft's done a decent job there. There's no point. Especially when AJ is the leading try scorer on the left wing. You don't fix it if it isn't broken. So I'd leave him there. What about Billy Smith? Do we trade? Do we hold? I am holding only because I wanted to make other moves. I don't blame anybody for trading him out, but also he has a 39 break even this week that he could easily match. And then you can look at trading next week if you need the extra number for 19 or something like that. What are your thoughts?
As much as I talk myself into liking Schuster, he, with his 58 break even, is a bigger trade out option than Billy Smith with 36. Billy Smith was a better trade out option last week, but he just gets 40 every week. And if that's your biggest problem and you've got 15 trades left, yeah, fucking nothing. Get 200K, live your life.
How many trades do you have left after this week? You're making 2, right?
I'm making 1 and I have 11.
Okay, I'm making 2 and I have 12, so I'm catching up now.
Yep.
So how many do you want to have left? And we spoke about this a little bit the other night. What's your plan?
10, but I think 9 is more achievable now. Maybe 9 or 8 is more achievable now. So I am going, like, I've done all the buy planning in the world. Obviously, I do a little Supercoach podcast called Insight Fantasy Sports. But AJ Brimson's fucked me a little bit. I've got Nico Hines and Mitchell Moses. So one of those guys are going to play Origin. The other one's not. For round 19 right now, I count myself with 11. So hopefully there's not going to be any injuries. And I just do 2 trades, like, you know, maybe the young fella from the Rabbitohs or as enough, or just bring, I don't know, another shark in or another eel in or something along those lines. But I'm going to have to make 2 trades next week. I'm just holding back because I just don't know what to do.
Tricky one, isn't it? Yeah, bit of a weird week.
I'd love if two nuffs appeared next week, I can nearly nuff twice.
Yep. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I don't mind that. I've got 15 available next week.
In
if
center
everyone
wing,
plays it, I think will play.
Sorry. Yeah. Sorry, I mean in center wing and second row forward and maybe front row forward. I wouldn't nuff in any other position other than them.
Yeah, definitely, for sure. So anybody who, I mean, we're talking a little bit of kind of run home stuff. We did a full episode, went for an hour 10 on the run home, every positional pick that we prefer, pod options, navigating the rest of the buy rounds, how to nuff, targets for nuffs. It's all there. It's on the channel. So go and check it out, audio and on YouTube. So go back, have a look. J-Dog in the Discord as well. If you want to join the Discord, let us know. We'll drop a comment so you can jump in. When will we get an SC reverse Uno card so I can reverse my BS trades after a match?
You could imagine if you could trade 2 boosts for that.
Yeah, that'd be cool. Or trade boosts for cash. Like, can you imagine if there was a lot more flexibility around what you could do with your trades? Like you could sell trades off for more cash or something like that. Like, you know, I feel like the FPL do it really well for anybody who plays Fantasy Premier League. I reckon they do it really well where you've got a wild card where you can basically flip your whole team at different points of the season. Imagine getting one wild card for the year that you could use in the middle of Origin or something, where you could basically change your whole team for the run home. Give us less trades, but give us a wild card. Give us or you could make as many trades as you want, but it would cost you points. You know, if you want to sacrifice 100 points or something for this week, you can get an extra trade. And then if you think that's worth it, you make it. You know, I feel like the FPL do actually some really good things around trades and all that. So it'd be interesting to see whether you could do that.
It's crazy to think that the EPL do FPL on the same app. So you download the EPL app and you've got FPL on it straight away. Like I know NRL is done, like the Supercoach, which is our preference over NRL Fantasy, is done by the Sunday Telegraph. But yeah, that integration's fantastic.
Yeah, for sure. Maybe we can get in touch with Tommy Sangster and see if he can add a wild card or whatever else it is they do. Pay for trades. Wait, I've got so many ideas. So many ideas.
I'd have no money left.
Yeah, I know. Hugh is asking Mulatalo or Kennedy. I think Mulatalo is the obvious option. I don't know about Kennedy. There's something about Will Kennedy that we looked at his scores before we hopped on because he's been in the conversation a lot today, but he scored a lot of tries. I mean, he scored 12 tries this season, but a lot of the scores he's getting with tries are like barely breaking 70. And I feel like just the base isn't there. He's very attack reliant. And don't get me wrong, the next 2 weeks he could go out 100-100. Like it could be a genius move. but I feel like I want more. And he's only fullback. He's fullback only. He doesn't have dual. I don't know. Not for me.
It's something
Muller,
you pointed out to me with Dylan Edwards, and I feel like Kennedy is a bad Dylan Edwards.
Yeah. I mean, at least with Dylan Edwards, there's going to be base there. You don't get that with Will Kennedy. And also, how many top 8 teams are they playing for the run home? Yeah. Because I'd be looking at that too, because they're terrible.
Look, you see Mulatalo every year touch 740k because he just goes on an absolute tear, and he plays for a high octane Sharks team. I know Kennedy is good, and I know maybe if you're 22,000th and you want to have a pod, you bring in Kennedy with his 120 break even. But I would feel a lot more comfortable getting Mulatalo if you're in a driver's seat. And I'm not even getting him. I'm fading him all year. But
yeah, you're going with Val
Mulatalo
Holmes
to Kennedy. Yeah, I've went Val Holmes. I have such premium center wings. I don't mean to brag, but it's actually amazing. I actually went into this year saying that I hate center wings, and my center wings have been the best you've ever seen in your life.
There you go. He says so himself. What about Burton as a pod? Now, obviously, I personally feel like Burton, if he doesn't get picked in Origin, it'll just be a complete joke with what happened with Damien Cook having to play centre in Game 2. I feel like Burton is the ultimate utility that you have on the bench in Origin. So I feel like they'll pick him in Game 3 over having 2 hookers. That's my opinion. I feel like Cook will be the starting 9 and they'll use Burton in the 14. But anyway, let's see how close I get. I like Burton for the run home, though. He mentioned in the run home pod, that he's got a 5-round average of 82, I think it is, and he started to come good. It's just he's on a shit team.
I like it. But he's on a shit team and he's 700k. No, I'm finding a pod that's 400k. I'm finding a pod that's 500k, especially in those positions. There's a little bit out there. I'm buying Jerome Hughes over Birdo. You know what I mean? I'm buying somebody else instead of Birdo.
Yeah, Jerome Hughes on a good Storm team for the run home versus Burton on a shithouse Bulldogs team. No offense to Bulldogs supporters.
I lost you there for a sec.
Oh, did you? Sorry. Maybe your internet's dropping in and out. We'll see how we go. Yeah, definitely around the Hughes versus Burton. Sione Katoa this week. Yeah, we spoke about him a bit earlier, mate. I just think that it might be a play this week, but maybe not for the run home. I think there's better options, so you're going to have to burn 2 trades.
And maybe it's a 2 or 3 week play. If you've got a few trades, I wouldn't mind getting him in. I've got money on double try scorer tonight. I feel like he is a massive chance, especially looking if you've been on our Discord and see that try map. He is a massive chance of scoring 2 tonight. He is playing round 19, which is another tick. But the Sharks do have a little bit of a bad run home, and Sione Katoa can go missing at points throughout the year. So,
yeah, he sure can. That's right. And look, I mean, again, same kind of thing as Will Kennedy. He scores tries and doesn't go large. So,
yeah.
And also, when you're outside Jesse Ramian, who I think has made 1 pass in about 4 years,
I don't think he's made that many.
You're going to have to get cut out. Nico's going to have to throw the best cutout in the world to hit Sione Katoa, I think. So, anyway, yeah. Yeah, it is nice, isn't it? Yeah, Mark, the Discord was running hot today. There's a fair bit of passionate chat in there, but also some good trade chat. So, jump on in if you want to get involved. Hugh, Hamoli or Hughes last reserve? Ooh, don't mind this. That's a tough one.
Wait, I'm going Hamoli.
Well, let's pull up the numbers. Let's have a look. Who are Manly versing again?
Manly are versing the Roosters.
So Roosters,
which I like matchup wise.
Right edge second rowers against the Roosters, average 59 points per game, which is 6
halfbacks
for
against
the year.
The Panthers.
And halfbacks against the Panthers, 4th. Hang on.
Yep.
No, I'm wrong. No, they're 16th. Awful matchup for Hughes. So
yeah,
I wouldn't play Hughes. I'd play Hamoli.
Let's go Hamoli. Yep.
Fafeter or Nicara for this week? Nicara.
Fafeter, but you've got to prepare for that. It depends how much money you've got. So, yes, Fafeter will, in my opinion, I think Fafeter will outscore Nicara this week.
Yep.
But he's got 140 break even. I don't have many trades left. I'm going Nicara this week because I like his break even. I like the fact that he's going to be playing 19 when Fafeter's going away for representative duties. It depends how you're poised for next week. It depends if you're okay to cop a 50, 60K loss on Fafeter for the extra points you're going to get, which is probably 50 points.
And let's also remember that whatever you get Fafeter for this week, you're getting 2 weeks worth. So if he gets you 120 this week, you essentially got yourself a 60 and a 60. If you look at it like that, that's a lot. Whenever I make my trades, I look at it like that a fair bit, especially when it was like, well, do we get Nico back now against the Dragons? Do we go early on him? Like you can back that you'd be pretty happy with one of his scores over probably someone else's double. And I think with Fafeter, anything under 100 this week, I'd consider a massive win for non-owners. Because then that's a 50 average over 2 games. Nicara goes and gets his 70 and 75 or something over the next 2, and you end up 60, 70 points ahead. So that's the way I'd look at it.
So the awkward thing about us talking to each other is I can't really argue with your logic because we talk through basically on camera most of the time about why we're trading in Fafeter, why we're trading out Fafeter. I'm waiting until after Origin, regardless of his break even. So.
And Professor Cactus makes a good point in Canberra. He hopes he goes missing in the cold. So I wouldn't be upset with that. That would be a great result for all of us, I think.
I don't know. I feel like he would be warmer than me. There's a bit more to him. So
we probably carry a bit more body fat than David Fafeter, to be fair. So
maybe.
we'd stay nice and warm.
You've got me.
Yeah. Well, I mean, also, maybe we've got the same amount of muscle as David Fafeter. I don't know. It's questionable. We'll see.
Nah, Fafeter's got more muscle.
Xavier Coates. Xavier Coates. Low break even. Pod centre wing. I feel like I just traded out an AE Nightmare and Schuster out of my team, and then I bring one back in by getting Coates. I feel like your VC loop kind of gets a little bit screwed with Coates.
And I just can't talk myself into keeping him until the end of the year. Like at this point of the year, if he had a minus 30 break even and this was week 5, I would do it. At whatever we're at, round 18, it's a no from me because I can see him going on a really good run and I can see myself regretting it, but I can also see the negative impact of the fact that I've seen Xavier Coates score sub 10 on multiple occasions.
Yep, I'm with you. I'm with you on that. All right, let's tackle most popular trade ins and outs, and then we can wrap this bad boy up.
I've got some Indian waiting for me, so let's go.
How good's that? Brendan Piakura, actually most bought in player this week. I completely get that one. Should get 80 minutes on the right edge by the looks of things. We don't know how long Jordan Riki's been out, but people have been saying it could be season.
So essentially, obviously being a Broncos fan, I've looked into it. Willison comes into the other edge spot, but I think when Capes comes back, Willison drops out. And Piakura still holds that spot. He's been really good. He's been getting like 50 in base. Looks really good. I suppose I could see myself holding Piakura through the year. And if I have to VC loop Nico this week and I get a bit shit scared from Schuster, then that's my brother. Don't talk about
that's one of my favorite
like that.
That's mate. That's the comment of the night. I love that. Well played. Continue.
For audio listeners, he said there's some Indian waiting for dinner for Mattrix, but what's for dinner?
Talking about his own.
I can legit see myself trading Schuster out to Piakura, banking 110k cash, playing Piakura maybe on matchups throughout the year, or if he peaks, then actually using him throughout the year. If I loop Nico this week, I'm just trying to save that trade.
Yeah. Me too. I wouldn't mind making it, but I feel like I would rather make upgrades. I've got 2 good upgrades or 2 keepers, I guess, I could get in this week. So second most bought is Nicara. Third most bought is Mulatalo. Can't argue with either of those ones. They make sense, and we've talked about those 2 guys, so we won't bother going over it again. Fourth most bought, Cam Munster versus Penrith. What are your thoughts on this one? Because, I mean, there's a reason to fade Cam Munster this week.
It's a long-term play. It's maybe just thinking about how many people you have to get after round 19 and just getting Cam Munster in.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, he's a keeper. Everyone's going to want him for 5'8" for the run home, so I understand that.
I want him
I'm
for
going to
5'8" for the run home.
Yeah, I'm going to wait for round 2021. I think I'll try and get him in ASAP. As long as he's named round 20, I think he'll be in my team. Dylan Edwards, number 5. So there's a bit of Dylan Edwards chat floating around in the chat tonight. I
do love me some Deadwoods.
I don't love it and don't hate it. I'm very neutral on this one. I feel like, I mean, Dylan Edwards has scored incredibly well this year. He's averaging 73.7 for the season. You know what you're going to get from him. You're going to get base, makes a lot of runs per game, always racks up meters. There's 2 games where he's gone large, 163 and 122. The 122, he only got 1 try in as well. So, like, you know that he doesn't necessarily rely on completely on scoring tries to rack up big points. So, scored 77 last 2 weeks ago with no tries, 73 last week with 1 try. Like, I mean, you're probably going to get more often than not, you're going to get 60 plus from Dylan Edwards.
Yep. And
it's just that.
It's hard, like, when you look at fullback, there's not a guy like Dylan Edwards. But when you look at centre wing, there's 5 guys like Dylan Edwards. And those centre wingers do have fullback eligibility a lot because of the fact that, you know, often the centres interchange and pop back there.
Yeah.
It's hard. I really like Dylan Edwards. I've been looking at him a lot, but I'm just going to play 2 centres at fullback at the moment. Sorry, 2 centre eligible players at fullback at the moment.
Yeah. Yeah, fair enough. And look, if someone pops up as fullback and, you know, they're killing it or whatever for the run home, you can grab them then. And speaking of someone who's fullback only, Scotty Drinkwater, 892,000. People are still buying him. 900K Scott Drinkwater. For me, my opinion is Scotty Drinkwater could go out and get you 30. He probably won't. He's in good form. He's playing good footy. But he could go out and get you 30. He's that type of player. He's very attack reliant. Yes, he's making runs and his base is a little bit better this year, but it's still not, premium level base, is it? Like, you're taking a pretty big risk there with Drinky relying on attacking scores.
Yeah, and after we saw how bad the Cowboys were to start, how much faith do you have in the Cowboys? I've got a growing faith in the Cowboys but also I'm taking the goal kicker in Val. I don't think I'm going Scotty Drinkwater, and I tried to get Drink Bolter to trend on Twitter so many times last year. Hashtag Drink Bolter. It did its best. Bolter didn't pop on to sponsor us, so maybe it's going to be Scotty hashtag drink better beer at one stage. But look. Anyway, do love Scotty. Don't like the base. Don't like the Cowboys. Would rather go elsewhere, especially for 900K. Like, honestly, just hold whoever you've got. Move your centers that you have at fullback. You're gonna have your Garricks. You're gonna have your Osakos. You're gonna have your CNKs, hopefully, and then get Latrell in if you're gonna spend that much money. Get Latrell in round 22.
Yeah, get him on one leg. Still do a job, I think. 7 most bought in is Val Holmes. We've talked about him. 8 is Nico Hines. We've talked about him. 9 is Fafeter. You know, these are all obvious options, and it's good now. People are prioritising getting the gun in. 10th, Jack Howarth. Very popular enough. And and this is, I think, Mark's question or comment on the screen, I guess, about having faith in only one Cowboy being Val Holmes is pretty spot on. I
still consider Val must have, and I got him because I feel like other people won't be able to afford to get him. So suddenly this really great player that everybody wants becomes unattainable. Yeah. I never feel like Scotty Drinkwater's unobtainable.
Yeah, for sure. You could get him in round 23 for 650K, the way that he kind of plays. So you just don't know what's going to happen over the next month. Two options, I guess.
And Jack Howarth doesn't play footy. Yeah.
No, that's it. Easy enough. Dual 2RF centre wing. And we said on the run home pod that if you've got another 2RF centre wing eligible player and you bring Jack Howarth in as enough, you can rotate them based on who you want to play and who you want to reserve and things. So that makes sense. If you have a lot of front row forward, second row forward, like me, in the front row forward and can't use any of them, then maybe you get yourself a front row, second row dual in your 2RF so that you can start making a bit of movement there without having to make trades. Yep. Miles Martin, isn't it? Miles Martin, I think, is the choice.
Is the front row, second row. Yep. 200K.
Knights.
I'm going to say play for the Knights, but is contracted to the Knights.
Yeah, contracted to the Knights and will not play, for sure. Professor Cactus has traded in his first Cowboy this year in Jeremiah Nanai. 530K.
I actually fucking love it.
Yeah. You were talking about him maybe 3 weeks ago, and I wasn't a big fan back then, but
that
he
was at
scored no
520, and now he's 530. Like, honestly, if I need to move on from Schuster, I've got the money in the bank to go to Nanai. I don't hate it. I actually love it. And like the next play that Professor Cactus said is 3% owned. Like, at this stage at 5,000th, I need to get a little potty in some positions, and I feel like Nanai is somebody I would take a punt on.
Yeah. Yeah, nice little pod. Nice little pod with the run of games coming up as well. Reese Walsh, most traded out, makes sense. Schuster, most traded, or second most traded out, makes sense. Sania Taruva, people are starting to bail on him now. He's the third most traded out. I assume that they're using him as an upgrade. He's 530K. His price has peaked. I think he's 79 break even this week. That I'd be doing the same thing. I'd probably
I'm
be
presuming he still
keeper.
plays beside Targo, so
yeah, that's right. And unfortunately, you're going to get a lot less ball inside Isaac Tungo than anybody else, really. Zach Hosking is also fourth most traded, which makes sense. He hasn't been named this week and won't play next week, so you can move on him. Billy Smith, fifth. I mean, we've said already, I feel like maybe Billy Smith is a wait and see if you've got other urgent things going on. 39 break even. But again, you're not going to keep him for the season, or you're not going to look to use him or play him at all, are you?
No. Billy Smith's just a bloke that sits there.
Pretty much. Cody Nicarima, sixth. Yeah, I guess I get that. I mean, there's been word that Cody Nicarima could play fullback this week.
There has been a lot of word. He was training at fullback.
I'm not sure whether that makes no sense to me. I don't know what they're doing. Are they saying now that Hamiso is a better centre, a better option at centre? Is Ewan Aitken injured? Is Valence Tavare dropped? Like, there's a lot of questions here.
It's dumb as shit.
Yeah. Harry Edwards, seventh, most traded out. I think people are panicking because they saw that he's playing off the bench this week, but I feel like that changes.
We've seen him play off the bench and play 60 minutes, though, so 58 minutes. So
yeah, good shout. And also, I mean, just because Tanner's name there doesn't mean that he's going to start there. I think there's every chance that Edwards starts in the 13 or starts at lock. In the 14 jersey. Sean Kepi hasn't been named, so he's out. Eli Katoa, people are bailing on Eli Katoa as well, which makes complete sense. I think
he's going to get eye surgery out for 3 or 4 weeks.
Yeah, he had eye surgery the other day, so he's going to be out for another 3 to 4 weeks. So yeah, definitely you have to move on from him now, and that's a really good position, 550K, to have a guy that you can move up to Nicara, or you could move up to a keeper that's in the 600 range. There's a lot of fairly good options. Hamoli Olakawatu, even at 550, like, that's a straight swap. So there's some really nice plays you can make there. Or you can go Katoa down to enough or a Piakura, and you've got 300K to play with, which I think a lot of people are doing. So I think we need to have cash in the bank for Fafeter. If you don't have Fafeter, you want him for the run home, you need to have probably 200K there just in case to go up from one of those 2RF 600K guys to get Fafeter in a couple of weeks.
Yep.
And lastly, Tyrone Peachy also hasn't been named, which makes sense. So a lot of these trade outs are pretty common sense. A lot of the trade-ins make a fair bit of sense this week. So maybe all the super coaches are getting smarter, or maybe the game's getting easier. I'm not quite sure. But there are some pretty clear-cut options this week.
Yep, agree.
Any final thoughts, mate, before we wrap up? The game's going to start in 6 minutes.
Mate, I'm excited to go watch footy. I don't have anything else to say except go Val Holmes.
We got the VC on Nico, so hopefully he does well tonight. And look, if he doesn't, I think the VC gives us a bit of security, gives us a bit of a fallback plan, I guess. Hopefully we've answered a few questions and helped a few people with trades. Thanks, Mark, for hopping on. Thanks for everybody else for hopping on as well. If you've stuck around, hit subscribe. If you have not, give us a follow. If you're listening to us on audio as well, good luck for the week. Hopefully plenty of green arrows. We will be back for the Sunday session on Sunday evening after the final game to wrap up all things round 18. Good luck this week. We'll catch you later.
Cheerio.